Okay, cool. All right. So we'll be talking about some of the problems that I've had in my business. Currently am I facing in my business.
You're breaking out, Tommy. You look like you're about to sneeze.
Contract. You guys still with me? Somebody move, do something.
You went out a little bit. You went out a little bit.
Oh, okay. Can you guys hear me now? Man, this is ridiculous. Oh, you guys got me? Yes, no? Anybody know?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay, all right. All right. So one of the things that I've been having some issues with, we've been getting some houses under contract, and we're doing the numbers. The numbers look good, but the houses are either not moving or taking way too long to move. Now, if you guys are experiencing some of the same things, the amount of time that it normally would take for me to get a house that I got under contract last year, that same house with those same numbers is taking maybe 2 to 3 times as long, right? The problem is that we're starting to see, if you guys haven't been around, I've been talking with people that are in the real estate field, you know that everybody's saying 2020, this real estate, I don't want to call it, it's not going to be I don't think it's going to be a crash as bad as 2008, but it's going to be a market correction, right? And I'm starting to think that more and more investors are being a little more cautious. So they're not buying like they were before. We're starting to see it tighten up a little bit. I was on the phone with an investor today. I sent them a property that completely makes sense to purchase. And he told me straight up, he's like, Tommy, I'm just looking for the steals, right? That's what he told me. I'm looking for the steals. So he's trying to get the absolute best. If you guys can do me a favor, because I can only see people and then sometimes you guys look frozen. I don't know if you're moving or not. If it's every once in a while, come back on and tell me if I'm breaking up again. But he's looking for the absolute steals. And so when I start seeing these things happen like this, I start seeing these market corrections and experiencing other investors not biting on properties that I know are good deals, like a duplex that we have that I know was a good deal. When I start to see stuff like that, I start to understand what's happening, and there's a shift there. So I don't know if you guys are feeling some of those same things, but here's something what I found that helped me out today. When approaching buyers, okay, when you're approaching buyers, if you don't know, we like to qualify our buyers. So let me preface this because I have to always keep in remembrance that there's people that are new on here. So we're going to qualify our buyers first. How we're going to do that, we're going to ask them a series of questions. We're going to ask them some non-financial questions, nothing to do with money. What type of properties do they normally like to buy? How many do they like to buy? How long have they been doing this? Those type of things. And then we'll start asking them some more money questions. Those money questions are, what are their price point? Where do they like to stay within? What's the return on investment? How much cash do they have to play with? And then finally, the good question is, if I buy a property, if I get it for $1 and sell it to you for 60, do you have a problem with that? 60,000, that is. Do you have a problem with that? Once we qualify our buyers, right? Once we qualify our buyers, we have to put those buyers into categories, whether or not they're buy and hold investors, or whether or not they are fix and flippers, or a hybrid. Some of them like to do both. Okay. What I found for me is I like to find, either if I don't already have them, I like to stack them by price point. So for example, this day is as low as 10. This is in Augusta, okay? So there's, fitted for wherever it's appropriate for your where you're living at. But he says he likes to stay as low as 10 up to about 40 on the purchase price, okay? So what that prompted me to do is to go through the buyers list, number one, and look at all the people that have answered those questions on where they like to be at, right? Now, we've just gotten to Augusta, so we don't have a large buyers list in Augusta. So that prompted me to think a little bit more. So what I did is I went on to List Source. And I know this is kind of difficult without seeing it, but I want you to just try to picture this. So I went on to List Source, right? I went into the actual city that I was looking for, which is Augusta, okay? And then I put in the type of property that I'm trying to sell. So this particular property is a duplex, okay? So I put in duplex, triplex, quad, right? So duplex, triplex, quad, and saw how many came up. Now in Augusta, there wasn't a whole bunch. If you're in an area where there's a whole bunch of duplex, triplex, quads, stick with that. So I went from there and I saw what was the number there. I think it was like 600 or something duplex, triplex, quads that were sold, period, okay? So I needed to narrow that down. So what I wanted to find out was the duplex that we have under contract is being sold for, we're willing to go to 45. We have it listed at 47, okay? So Augusta is a different type of a market. It's a little bit smaller market than Atlanta. The wholesaling fees are smaller as well, okay? So we're selling this thing at 47. Atlanta prices, I'm still on the rehab, will be about 30 to 32. So being all in at almost $80,000, right? If it's a $32,000 renovation. So what I did was I narrowed it down to on there in List Source, you have a, I forgot the exact word, but it says what the market value is of the property now, right? And you can change that date. So you can say, hey, so what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a property that's 600 something like 400, okay? After it took my number down to 400, then I looked at who has equity, and I put 60% to 100% equity. Okay, 60% to 100% equity, because I understand my market. Okay, my market is not a 0.6 to 0.65 market, and I found that out. Then I had to narrow it down to who has bought these properties within a certain time frame, and I wanted to know who bought these properties within the last 3 years. Again, your market might be a more fast-paced market. You might be able to get more sales, find out who's buying these properties within a year's time frame. So if I was doing this in Atlanta, I could do it within a year because there's so many more sales, right? There's more inventory, so there's more sales that are happening. But because of where my market's at, or that Augusta market, because of that Augusta market, I switched that off and I went ahead and I did it for 3 years because there wasn't enough sales happening. Does that make sense? So now I have a price point of investors, mostly investors, because most of them are going to, within a 3-year time frame, if you're a normal home buyer and you're doing this FHA or you're doing conventional, you're typically not going to have 60 to 100% equity in it. So you understand where I'm going with, right? So I'm narrowing it down to people that probably purchased this property as an investment. Okay, that's number one. Then I narrowed it down to to the price point where I'm selling my property for. So these are people, investors that bought properties in my price point with similar type of properties, which are duplex, triplex, and quads. And then I found out who was doing that within the last 3 years. Okay, buy and hold investors are a little bit different than flippers, right? Because we're not getting that money right out and then turning it around and going right into the next property. They're more strategic about the properties that they purchase. They're not getting that fast cash where they can just go right into the next property. What's happening is that they need to recoup some of that money that they've spent. Okay, collect rents, hopefully maybe do a HELOC and pull some of that equity out. right? Equity strip it, as they call it, and then go ahead and then purchase the next property. So that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm currently doing. That's what I worked on today on for a large portion of the day, is just figuring out who are these buyers. So then once I do that, then I pull that list out. That list was for Augusta, Georgia, went from like 6 something to like 4 something down to like one. I think my list was like 197. So then at that point, I'm just skip tracing those. But what I looked for, if you guys looking at on that when you do list source, typically what happens is I pull out duplicates. I didn't want to pull out duplicates on this particular property. So at the very end, when you go to purchase, it says, do you want to remove duplicate buyers or duplicate entries? So people who have purchased more than one home. Normally I pull that out. This time I didn't. Why? Because I want to see who are the people that are buying the most. Okay. Now, when you do this strategy, the reason why you can't just throw this on REI Skip, because REI Skip does not allow for you to skip businesses. So a lot of these are LLCs. Very few of the 197, I think it was, were probably about a good 45 to 50 of those were actual, Tommy Holt. That was the name that was there, right? But most of them were LLCs, some type of corporation. So REI Skip's not going to be able to skip those. So they're not going to be able to help you with that. So this is why you kind of have to know the whole process of being able to go into the Secretary of State's office, pull in that address, put in that company's name, and then start searching until you find an actual name, a registered agent, or a business that you can just reach out to once you get to a dead end. So this is the process of finding buyers. This is one of the things that we do to find buyers because the market is tightening up. So now I'm looking for very, very specific buyers. Where before I would just buy a huge list and just blast that out to everybody. But what I'm seeing now is that these buyers are being very, very picky. And so some buyers, a lot of the buyers, they like the buyer I sent it to, he said, I just want steals, man. Don't send me anything unless it's a steal. Which means he's trying to make a whole bunch of money and not allow me to make any, right? So I might have to put him on the back burner until this whole crash thing happens and the market corrects itself. Because this is a good deal, but it's definitely more of a long-term play type of a deal. So that's one thing I'm having issues with in my business, which is finding better buyers that are willing to go with properties that are not going to make them filthy rich from the one that I sell them. Right? I know they know that. We know they know that, but that's just try to give you an idea. Okay. The other thing is having a priority list. So I have a priority list of buyers, right? So within your talk, within your speech, within your spiel, when you're qualifying your buyers, you can add this into your spill to them. So I'm just looking at Drake because I only got him on my phone, so I only got 4 people here I can see. Well, one is myself, so 3 other people. So Drake, you're a buyer or you're a potential buyer, and I'm on the phone with you, and I say, Drake, one of the things that we like to do is we have what we call a priority buyers list. We just want to make sure those are people that are really serious. They buy a decent amount of properties per year. And we normally give those the best deals, the pretty much first dibs to our priority buyers, Drake. And I would love to be able to put you on our priorities buyers list. Are you on anybody else's priority buyers list? Drake says, no, I'm not. Or he says, yes. I'm sorry, somebody said something? Somebody said something? Okay, all right. I said, are you on anybody else's priority buyers list? If he says yes, okay, great. That's awesome. Are they sending you pretty much some good perfect? Well, this is just going to add to that quality. So that's if he says yes. If he says no, Drake says no, I'm not on anybody. Nobody else has a priority buyers list. Perfect. Well, I really want our buyers list to be the first one that you're on. I want you to be on our priority buyers list. This is basically how it works. The best properties go to them. most of the properties never make it to the regular list because, you know, the priority buyers list, normally they see them and they'll hop on it quick, fast. Every once in a while, we'll get some that squeak through the cracks because they're on vacation or they just didn't get to it, didn't get the email. But most of the time they get gobbled up pretty quickly. But the fastest way to get on the priority buyers list, Drake, is to buy the deals that still make sense and work. Okay? The best way to get on the priority buyers list is to buy the deals that make sense. Maybe they're not the home run deal, but they still make sense for your business. It's still going to make you money. Once that I see, Drake, that you are a consistent buyer, like you are actually following through and we're providing properties that fit your criteria, all the ones that we just talked about, then we'll upgrade you and put you onto our priority buyers list. That way you get the first dibs to the best properties. Does that make sense to you, Drake? Drake says, yeah, it does. All right. You want me to add you to that priority buyers list? Drake says, yes, of course. All right. So he sees what I'm going with it. He says, okay, if I want to get on with the best properties, if I want to get the ones that have the best deals, I need to at least buy the ones that make sense. Instead of me trying to look for the one that's a, 50% or a 0.5, right, where I'm getting 50% profit, let me just get myself into the game, show Top Cash Homes and Tommy that I'm a real buyer, that I'm buying and I'm renovating these properties, or I'm buying and I'm renting them out, and it's making sense for him and he's making money for him, I'm making money. Once that happens, once that happens, he's going to get upgraded. And so that's the whole mentality of it, right? Anybody have any questions with that? All right, with the first strategy? Again, I'm on my phone, so forgive me, I got to kind of have to slide through to see everybody's face. Okay, cool. I'm not seeing anything. I don't see any raised hands. Perfect. All right. The other thing that I'm following, that I'm having issues with, is contractors, okay, and I'm had personal issues with this at one of my houses, one of my properties that I was working on. Contractors taking way too long to finish some of these projects. And so I'm kind of still working through this because contractors have a special, they're in a special spot, right? Because they have a lot of power. Once you purchase that home and you relinquish that house over to that contractor, man, they could make or break a project for sure, right? So one of the things that I had issues with, and I implemented this tactic in today with a contractor that's working on all my properties. And to give you the story, he was supposed to do the bathrooms, supposed to be done last Friday. Because he told me it was supposed to be done last Friday, I have an Airbnb. This is an Airbnb property. So I have an Airbnb manager that I scheduled that it was going to come in on Monday, and a cleaner that was going to come in on Sunday. Okay. So he was supposed to get done on Friday. The cleaner was going to come in on Sunday. The property manager was due to come in on Monday to evaluate it, kind of take a look at it, look at the area. He already knew where the area is, but he wanted to see the actual property and then see where we were going to be at to list this thing. Okay. The property didn't get done on Friday. He told me he was going to work on it on Saturday and have it done by Sunday. It didn't get done on Saturday. It didn't get done on Sunday. It didn't get on Monday. It didn't get done on Tuesday. It just got done today. Okay. And so some of you guys have probably heard of these horror stories where contractors taking way too long and take off with your money. First of all, don't ever give them all your but here's a particular contractor, because I like this contractor. I want to continue to do business with this contractor. His prices are fair, but he does with the contractor, the typical contractor trick, right? So he goes to Dave and says, yeah, I can get your job done by Friday. Then he goes to, I'm just looking at names here, he goes to Carlos and says, hey, Carlos, I got you, fam. Your job is going to get done by Saturday. Then he goes to, who's that? Jonko. He goes to Jonko and says, hey, your job, I got you, is going to be done on Saturday as well. So now he's overbooked, right? He's overbooking himself, not factoring in any time for, what if this has happened? What if this is not in stock? None of that stuff, right? But what happens is that in the beginning, what happens? They collect what? A deposit. So they collect that deposit, and when they collect that deposit, they kind of have you because you put some money into it, right? So you're either going to forfeit that deposit or you're going to see this thing through. So what I did, because I'm going to have them do another project, but what we agreed upon is this. Very simple. In the work order, I told them what type of project it is, no, but it doesn't matter. My project is an Airbnb. Your project can be a flip. Your investor's project can be a flip. It could be a rental, whatever the case may be. I said, so let's say his name is Dave. I'll say, Dave, without rushing, give me a real number, a real day of when you realistically can get this project done, okay? And I will decide whether or not that is satisfactory or not. Here's why that question is important, okay? What I'm telling him is that it's up to you. I'm not going to dictate. I'm not going to say I need this done by Tuesday. I need this done in 2 days. I'm not telling him that. The choice is on you. But if you don't give me something that's satisfactory, it's my decision whether or not I want to go with you or not. Okay. So there is some sense of urgency there for him to want to give me a quality job in a timely manner. Right. So let's say Dave says, hey, today's Wednesday, Tommy. Realistically, we could be done by next Wednesday. I'll say, okay, perfect. So you can be done by next Wednesday, guaranteed, no doubt. Perfect. All right. He says, yes. Okay. Dave, I really need this project done. Okay. You're telling me Wednesday. You're saying that you're guaranteed Wednesday. This is what I want to do. Because you're telling me that you're guaranteeing me that it's going to be done on Wednesday. And I know you're a man of your word. That takes a lot of guts to say that to someone, right? I know you're a man of your word. I'm going to trust you on this. And I'm going to schedule, in this particular case, it's my Airbnb project, but you can do whatever you want. Doesn't matter if it's a fix and flip. If it's a fix and flip, I'm going to schedule this thing to get listed. I'm going to have my real estate agent and my photographer come in here on Thursday to take photos of this thing, no matter what it is, right? My particular case is Airbnb. I'm going to schedule my cleaning lady to come into the Airbnb to have this project cleaned, and then my property manager to come in the property the following day. Okay. So at this point, I'm letting him know that if he's not done on Wednesday, I'm already spending money. Okay. Since I'm investing into that, are you willing to pay me for every day that I lose money that I have to push this project back if you're not done? Okay. And this is something that I worked with today with this particular contractor. I said, listen, every day that my property is not on the market as an Airbnb, this particular property is costing me about $90. Okay. So it's about $90 per day that I'm missing out on that it's not on the market. Are you willing to pay me that? He said, absolutely. Okay. So now he has some skin in the game. Now he knows that if he doesn't perform, $90 he's going to pay me, or basically essentially it's going to come off the bill. Okay. This is something that we're going to put in writing onto that sheet. Okay. Onto your work list. And it's going to, he's not going to fit in that. It's going to be something that's documented, so that way you can, that way that you can actually, hold on, I got a comment there. You have some record there. Let me see something here, chat. What if they say no? It's a very good question. If they say no, I'd ask them, well, why not? This is why it's important, not just to repeat the questions that I'm saying, but to do them in the correct order. It's why lawyers get paid what they pay, because they set you up, right, with the question to the point where you can't back out. So this is why I asked him those questions in the beginning. Well, but Dave, he says no. Dave says no. But Dave, I mean, you just guaranteed me. You told me that you guaranteed that this will be done. I don't see why that would ever be an issue. I mean, I take you for a man of your word. You told me that you would get it done, so it shouldn't be that big of an issue. So if they say, oh, well, then, what if this happens? Well, then that kind of defeats the point of a guarantee, Dave. Listen, Dave, here's what it is. Like, I really need this done. if you don't want to do this, I get it. I understand. But maybe you're not the right contractor for me and my business, right? Because a good contractor is going to be able to tell you the truth and actually follow through. And so sometimes you just got to weed through the nonsense, because what's going to happen is that you're going to end up dealing with shady contractors. Okay. Hold up. Somebody else said something. Sorry, guys. It's a little, I did that with a painter, had him sign an agreement, $50 per day. He said it would take 3 days, but I gave him 4 days and was $50. It was 50 days per 50 per day off. Yeah. So the reason why, let me just check on Z real quick. Boy, still asleep. He better not sleep through this baseball game. I'll tell you that much. He paid all this money for these tickets. The stuff works. It's just, how do you don't present it being, cocky or like a jerk, but this is business, right? You have to be able to conduct business and talk with these people, these contractors, because I said, man, you give them a lot of power. They can cost you a lot of money. So if you don't have some of these safeguards in place, a lot of times what's going to happen is you're going to get used. All right. Let me see here. You guys have any questions? Anybody got any deals they're working on? Anybody have a list of contractors that they are currently using? Everybody have that 2 contractors? No one. So does anybody have 1 contractor they could call? Let me check in the chat here. Either we're not participating in this, or you guys are seriously missing some things. Hey, Jonko says yes. Okay, appreciate you. I appreciate that. Listen, if you guys don't have contractors that you can call, I have several. Okay, he says you have several. Awesome. Jonko, are you in Ramona? You said you have several. Good. Are you in construction? How do you have several? You can take yourself off mute.
Actually, just talking with other investors I have a relationship with. They ask me if I know plumbers or HVAC. I ask them the same. And so we just kind of use the same contractors on different jobs.
Okay. Have you worked with any of these contractors?
Yeah, I've had them do work for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
they've been working out because they've been referred by other investors.
Okay, good. Local real estate groups, experience. Good. So appreciate that. So we're getting some stuff in the chat. Maybe it was just a delay. But what is real local real estate groups? Okay, good. All right. Okay. Am I back here? You guys good? Bad? I'm bad. I'm standing in the same spot. I'm good. Breaking up bad. I don't know how that's happened. I didn't move. Drake, you said you got me? Drake got me. Duke, do you got me? Okay, we're good now? Okay, perfect. All right. Perfect. All right. So, if you guys, for those who didn't answer, I'm just going to take it that you don't. Part of this wholesaling process, I know you guys joined just to learn, or you thought you were learning just wholesaling, but you have to understand that you have to be that resource for people, okay? Because you're going to run into investors that don't need any of your help. They're going to do all the construction themselves. They're going to be, they're going to have everything ready. But then you're going to reach some people that are just their first time flipping, and they're going to need your help to point them in the right direction. And it's probably going to be one of those deals that are not the home run deals. It might not even be a triple or a double. It might just be like a get on base type of a deal for them. Most of the time, brand new investors, they get just basically just getting on base, right? They just want to get in and out of a project, okay? So when you have those, you got to have resources for these people, okay? So in the course, we talk about going out and contacting some of these people. So I need you guys to go out there and start calling and finding a good contractor that you can that'll go out to a property, kind of walk you through some of these things that you can ask questions to, because that's going to, number one, help you out as far as getting your repair costs down, but also you're going to build relationships with these contractors. These contractors are doing work for some people, somebody. Most of them are just, your regular person that wants to improve their house. But some of these people are going to be investors that they're going to lead you right into buyers for, okay? So if you don't have them, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So you need to go ahead and find some of these contractors, start speaking with them, and then get in good graces with them so you can bring business to them and they can bring business to you. All right. Let me see, Tamia, let me see, you got your hand up. You have I don't know how to lower all hands. All right. Tamia, you had a question? Is that why you had your hand up?
No, I was just saying that I have several vendors. I was just answering the question.
Okay, gotcha. All right, no problem. All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and open this thing up to Q&A. We can talk about the buyers. If you guys are not clear on what I meant by the list source, this is the time to ask the questions. If you have a deal that you want to work through, that you're having some issues with, this is the time now. Anybody have anything? Don't wait for somebody else. Go ahead and jump right on in, because I know everybody's waiting for somebody else to ask first. Go ahead, Logan. I see your hand up. You gotta take yourself off. There you go.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, man. I missed like most of this call. I'm still working, but I got a property under contract right now, and I haven't tried the rent deal yet, like the North Tulsa, because it's kind of in the hood a little bit. But what are some other ways that I can find buyers? Because I'm out in Colorado and I've been working till like 9 at night, so I haven't had any time really to do the Zillow thing yet.
Okay, so you're asking how do you find buyers? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I've been marketing on Facebook and Craigslist pretty much. That's pretty much it.
Okay, so try what I was talking about. I know you missed the beginning of it, but go into list source, go into the specific city that your property is in. So if it's in Tulsa, go for Tulsa. Don't just go for the county. So go for the city, okay? And then you're gonna see, I forgot the exact terms that it says, but it's basically what the house is worth now, okay? So how much the house is worth, okay? And then go to last market sale date. And I don't know what the market is for Tulsa. In Atlanta, I would do for a year, okay? In Augusta, I did for 3 years because it just wasn't as much. There wasn't as many properties. I was looking for specifically duplexes, triplexes, quads, right?
Okay.
So there wasn't that many duplexes, triplexes, and quads in Augusta. There's thousands of them in Atlanta, right? So I don't know what your market's like. So you kind of have to just look at that. If there's a whole bunch of them, then yeah, you're good to go for a year. But I did it for 3 years because I want to see what investors purchased for the price point that I'm at. So like I said, I'm trying to sell this duplex for $47,000. So I want to see what investors purchased duplexes, triplexes, and quads from my price point within the last 3 years. Does that make sense? So I'm really narrowing it down. Instead of just saying, hey, let's just see who purchased properties within the last year with 50% of equity or more. What I'm really doing, I'm narrowing it down. So let's see who wants to purchase my type of property, whatever. I don't know what type of property you have in the contract, but your specific type of property within the last time frame, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. All right. I think somebody else was talking the same time he was. You take yourself off mute.
Yeah, I was going to ask something.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
I've been investing for almost about 3 years now, but I was just doing rentals, so I'm just getting started in wholesaling, and
Okay.
and haven't gone through your course all the way. I've just done a couple of modules so far, but was thinking about doing the tax delinquent. And I bought the one driving for dollar deal machine, and I've been
Yep.
sending them. But also that one property list manager, do you think that's something worth getting, where it combines different lists to see the properties that are all on multiple lists?
Yeah. So the property manager strategy, I think it's probably one of the more underutilized strategies. The property manager list strategy is a really good one. So to summarize, yes, I think you should definitely use that. ITL, I will get to your question. Give me 1 second. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. If you got any more questions, put them in the chat now. I'll get to them. The property manager list is because, especially if you find the right type of property manager, because they all work for a buyer, right? Like you have rentals, so you have property manager, right? Or do you manage them yourself?
No, I have a property manager, but actually I meant property list. It's that one app where you can combine different addresses, and it'll show like what property might be on the tax delinquent, and also it might be
Stacking. You're talking about stacking.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
So what do you asking?
Is that, you think,
Exactly.
is that something good to get, you think?
Oh yeah. So what he's talking about is stacking a list. So let's say I'm driving for dollars and I find what appears to be a vacant home. Okay, it's a vacant home. It's a vacant home. Obviously, it's an absentee home as well if it's vacant. No one's living in there. But let's say then I also find when I do my research that it's not only a vacant absentee owned home, but it's also tax delinquent. So that obviously is better than just being a vacant absentee. But then let's say I find it's a vacant absentee, tax delinquent, and it has code violations. So now you can see we're stacking all these things against this property owner, right? So that's what we call stacking. So if you can find the software that does that pulls it out, it's a way of basically weeding through what are the best properties, the ones that are going to have the most chance of motivation, right, for someone to sell. Because if your house is vacant, it's absentee owned, obviously, you have tax delinquents and you have code violations on them, you probably have a high level of motivation to sell your property. Okay, so to answer your question, it's excellent to do that. It's very good to do that because you're going to be able to weed you're going to basically be able to attack those ones that are on that list. The higher they're on that list, you're going to be able to attack them first before someone else gets to them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
This is Kenneth. Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Okay, I wanted to ask about list stacking myself. My specific question is, first of all, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Great. Now, the way I'm looking at it right now, I have a particular app or whatever that allows me pretty much to put in various things such as, let's say, absentee, vacant, let's say foreclosed or inherited, and so forth. Now, it doesn't give the specific violations, but it'll let you know if it has liens and different things along that line. My question is twofold. One is, I know there's something else that's out there, and that I've heard Maxwell talk about. And secondly, I'm looking at the inherited properties within the last maybe 18 months that are absentee and vacant, but also foreclosed that are absentee and vacant as my primary list. Which way would you recommend in terms of of primary that you would look for in a situation like that. That makes sense.
I'm a little confused. So you're saying that you have a foreclosure list and you have a pre-foreclosure list, and what's the other list that you have? And you're trying to figure out which one is better?
Okay, the way this particular app works is it allows you to put in a zip code, a county, or whatever, and it kind of just tells you the properties that have potential problems in that area. It could cover bankruptcy. It could cover various liens from federal, state, local liens, HOA liens, inherited properties that are and then absentee vacant. It kind of covers about 16 different areas, but I guess what I'm looking at, like when you run into the ones, say they have bankruptcy on it. Well, normally if they're in foreclosure and they have a bankruptcy, that person is fighting to keep their house. So I kind of try to stay away from that per se, because they're really trying to keep it at, you know, maybe later on down the line I can follow up on it. But people who have inherited properties that are vacant absentee seems like a strong potential, especially if they have other issues with it, or people who are in foreclosure didn't file for bankruptcy, but they're absentee vacant home. What do you think about me looking at it that way, or should I just be going for everything? That's my point.
No, okay, no, yeah. So don't go for everything unless you have everything money. I don't know. Maybe you don't.
I don't.
Maybe you do.
I don't.
Okay, because everything money, everything can cost a lot, right?
You're breaking up a little bit. You're breaking up.
Because it's really about now. Can you hear me now? You good?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Good.
So it's one thing to get the list, right? When you already have this app. What's the name of this app?
I'm not. It's actually a program that I purchased. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's something I purchased.
Is it REI Pro?
No, I have REI Pro, but this is something different.
Okay.
Let me see if I can, without losing you, let me see if I can find it. No, I can't. Okay. It's on my computer at home. I'm at Costco.
That's fine. So, so doing is you're gonna obviously have to, the money you spend is skip tracing that list, the money and the time, right? It's going to be one or the other. You know, my price, which is a lot cheaper, I think just today I spent like $1,200 just on skip tracing different properties, right? And you know, a couple thousand properties. So it gets expensive, right? So my suggestion is to find the one that, there's certain ones that like kind of stick out to the individual. Like some people, like a guy, Jason, he loves doing pre-foreclosures, right? That's his thing, right? There's another guy, he's in the group. I forgot his name, but he likes doing probate. So what's the one that kind of stands out to you that you want to go after?
Well, I just started really doing probate. I got a pretty good understanding of how that works, pretty good access into it. But from what I also understand is, okay, probate, of course, are the people that are going through the process. But then what I understand is that people who have inherited their properties within the last, say, year to 2 years have a high chance of selling it if they go into
Hello?
I don't know if you can still hear me or if I got this.
Yeah,
Okay.
you went out for a second there.
Yeah, I got a call. Anyway, but if they're inherited and in the last 12 months, say, that property incurs, you know, or maybe it already had some issues with it, or it goes into maybe a HOA default or different things like that, the owners tend to sell those more quickly because they try to rent them out a couple of times and it doesn't work and they get tired and then now they're ready. They're ready to sell. That's kind of what I'm looking at.
Yeah. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. What I'm just trying to say is that you go after the ones that if that's your thing, if that's what you want to go after that. I think what you're asking me is like, which one should you go after? What I'm
Right.
what I'm saying to you is that there are people that have a ton of success with probate. There are people that have a ton of success with eviction and don't have success with probate. So what I found is like whatever it works best for you, like what you kind of fall in love with, go after that, because it's going to be easier for you to keep working on it because you have some type of like for it. You have some type of feeling for it, right? So stick with that and just keep attacking that until you get to the point where you have the bandwidth to attack multiple ones at the same time.
I got you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let me go to let me try to go to this questions here, chats. What is the software for? It's called Property List. Oh, someone already answered that. I'm new. I'm having trouble finding the seller of property info. All right. So look at you, Ramona. Look at you, you're a whole wholesaler over here. Yep. So Ramona got you, man. Ramona, you know what? I'm gonna just have you take over the call. So let me see, Kenneth. Oh, I just answered your question. There we go. No other questions. No questions on the on zoning in, on just like zeroing in on those buyers, finding those people that are bought almost the exact type of property. All right. You could also do this if you guys don't have. Yes. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, this is Kaylin from DC. Hello.
This is who? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. This is who?
This is Kaylin from DC.
Kaylin,
quick question. What's happening? So you all were saying that there's some type of software that you all have that identifies like multiple layers. Can you provide like what are like the top apps that you use or how you leverage technology?
The top apps
to find the best
use.
prospects?
I'm very, very simple with mine because I do a lot of driving for dollars. So deal machine is one. Been verified is the other. REI Skip is the other. TLO next, which is I want. True People Search.
You're breaking up. You said TOL?
No, TLO. TLO. Can you hear me? Am I back?
I got you. Hello.
Okay, cool. TLO. Trying to think of any other software that I use. And I'm probably going to start using, I've been using I had Easy Text, but I'm probably going to switch to a company named Sherpa. But we're going to, I'm going to try to do that first to see how it works. And then before I co-sign on it. But that's the softwares that I use. Mine is very rudimentary, low budget. It don't cost me that much, but it gets the results.
Okay, you said Easy Text and you might go to Sherpa. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Sherpa, yep. No problem. Any suggestions on finding phone numbers other than skip tracing? Well, skip tracing is the act of finding buyers' phone numbers. So you can do skip tracing. So skip tracing is the term like used for searching for someone. So like even if you, I guess the only other way maybe is to knock on doors. Trying to think of any other way that you would look for someone's phone number. I really don't know. Sherpa, I think it's SHERPA. I met that guy at We Live 19, and he wants to come on and do a coaching call. So I would hold off before you do that, because typically when they come on the call, they give a they give you guys a discount. Okay, so you do whatever you want, but I gotta schedule it to get him on the call. Hopefully, I'll see him this weekend. All right, I am going to wake my son up because we've missed about 30 minutes of this baseball game. Hold up, I got another question here. Do you have a recommendation on how to purchase properties that are behind in taxes? I noticed there are 3 multiple tax lien certificates on each property, and wondering if I would just try and purchase home and pay all certificates. Okay, so good question, Ramona. You're trying to purchase them before they go to the auction. I can see you now. So yes, okay. So before they go to the auction, what you're gonna need to do is you're gonna need to get in contact with those owners. Okay. Man, I keep getting text messages. You're gonna need to get in contact with those owners and reach out to them and say, hey, hey Ramona, my name is Tommy. I'm a local real estate investor, and we're looking to purchase properties in your area. And I happen to notice, because it's probably, they're in the publication, do they do it the same? They put them out there, right? So it happened to notice, or it came to my attention, that your property is going up for auction this coming, Tuesday, next Tuesday or whatever, or the first Tuesday of the month, whatever it is, right? Has anyone contacted you about giving you some options on how you can stay in your home? Okay, because everybody else is coming there to try to buy it, right? Now you're trying to buy it too, but you want to come different than everybody else. So Dex called you and said, hey, Ramona, I want to buy your home. I know it's going to tax auction, right? John called you and said, hey, Ramona, I want to, hold on, sorry, my back. All right, sorry, my mother called me. So John said, hey, Ramona, I want to buy your home, right? Now I come to you and say, has anybody talked to you about some of the options you have to stay in your home? Completely different than everybody else, okay? Now you have their ear, right? Hey, Ramona, so, we are investors. We like to purchase properties, obviously, but we try at all costs to try to help the homeowner out so they can stay in the property. Has anybody given you options for that? No, they haven't. Okay, great. So what we can do is we can purchase the property, and we can do something where you have a seller buyback. You ever anybody talk to you about something like that? No. Oh, no. Okay, Ramona. Well, this is the process of it. This is what we'll do. We can purchase the property. Okay. I'm just gonna make up some numbers here. Let's say they owe $20,000 in back taxes. Okay. So we can purchase the property from you, and then mortgage the property to you. Okay. This will give you another opportunity to make good on this property. You won't have to move out of the property. Okay. We'll work out monthly payments. Okay. That makes sense for both of us. Okay. Now, if they can do that, and normally those seller buyback programs, they're not cheap. They're not something that is, like if you were to go to Chase or Wells Fargo or anything else where you're going to be able to be competitive. They're kind of on par with a hard money loan, maybe not as aggressive as a hard money loan, but they're somewhere sitting around that 8, 9, 10%. Okay, where hard money is probably 10 or above. Okay, but it's another option. Everybody else has come to them about just selling their home, but where do they go after they sell you their home? Where do they move to? Right now, you have that option. You make that option known to them. But hey, I also have this other option where you can actually stay in your home at whatever interest rate for that particular number that you're purchasing on makes sense to both you, Ramona, and me as the investor. Okay, so that's probably just a skim. Probably need to go a little more in depth. Maybe we'll do an actual class on seller buybacks. That'd be a good one for you guys to understand. These are all different creative ways that you can get in and out of real estate. Okay. Let me just check here. Let me see. I got another text in the chat. Hopefully, Ramona. Hopefully, I answered that question for you. Appreciate that, Duke. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, man. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else? I don't want to leave y'all hanging.
Hey, Tommy.
Yes. Who's talking? I got to slide through.
This is Technikia.
Hey, Tanika.
Hey, I have a question. I have a property that I was looking at. It says owners. I guess it's a life estate. Should I even be looking
I don't know.
at that? Can I look at that?
Tanika, I don't know if
Is
it's
that okay to
me
go after
or
because it's
you.
been sitting? It's probably me because I just got off of so it's probably me, and I'm headed home, so it's probably me.
Okay. So I heard something about a life estate, and then it broke up from there.
On a life estate, should I even be looking at that? Would I be able to wholesale that?
So a life estate. So understanding what a life estate is. A life estate is a property that reverts back to. All right. It's only good during the course of the person's lifetime. So let's just say it's easier to explain this if I just use this as an example. Tanikia,
okay.
You have a life estate. It's Dex's property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is during the course of your life, you have the rights to that property. But once if you pass away, that estate reverts back to Dex. You understand? So it makes it complicated because now you have two interested parties involved. You have yourself and Dex, right? So for those particular reasons, I typically stay away from not only just life estates, but I typically stay away from trust, all types of estates, because it seems like it's more headache. Unless it's going through probate and they have like an estate sale, those I'll deal with. But stuff like that, I typically shy away from. Not to say that you can't make money off of it, not to say that you can't do it, but I typically stay away from them.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go. I am going to wake Zion up and get him into this game. I know he's gonna be excited once he figure out where we're at. He's been asleep for the last hour, thank God, or this call could have went really bad. So I love you guys. Appreciate you guys coming on here. Appreciate your time. And you guys have a blessed one. All right. Peace.